Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by Citrix Sharefile, secure file transfer built for business. Visit sharefile.com, click on the microphone, and enter TWIST for a free 30-day trial. And by Squarespace, an all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create a professional website and now an online store. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase on new accounts, go to squarespace.com and use the offer code TWIST. And by AWS Activate, the Amazon Web Services startup program. It's easy to start and scale your business with AWS. Visit aws.amazon.com/activate.
Hey everybody, today on This Week in Startups, it's our Welcome Back series. Today on the program, Danielle Morrill, who is the CEO and co-founder of Mattermark, is back on the program. She went to Y Combinator in 2012, came on the program, told us all about her amazing site Referrally, which absolutely failed, and she hated working on it. And then she watched a bunch of Gossip Girl, and she got a huge inspiration and created something called Mattermark, which is now doing over $1 million a year in revenue. And on this program, I negotiate with her to invest in her next round. It's an amazing episode, the highs, the lows, and of course now tons of revenue. It's a great success story. It's a comeback story. Danielle from Mattermark, stick with us.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. But funny how it feeds my people. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, welcome to This Week in Startups. Yes, it's the program where I, Jason Calacanis, interview founders of companies and talk about the products they're building, knowing full well that 70 or 80% of startups die in a chemical fire, brutally and painfully. But the founders sometimes step up to the plate again and swing the bat. And you know what? If a blind person gets up to the base, the home base, and they have a bat in their hands, literally a blind person, and they keep swinging, they're going to hit the ball. And if they hit the ball, there's a chance it's going to go over the fence. I am that blind person. I have had 3 home runs in my career at least. And I suck. I'm a terrible entrepreneur. I was like a 71-year, 3-year average in school. I was the kid in school. They said, that kid's got so much potential, but he's a schmuck. He doesn't apply himself. I was told I was stupid my whole life. Literally was told, Jason, you're stupid. You're never going to amount to much. You have no discipline. You're stupid. And you know what? I'm the most successful guy from my high school, except for Chris Mullen. And when they want money, my college and my high school call me and they beg me to give them money, and I don't. Because they told me I was stupid. But I have learned a great lesson in life. I have learned the secret of life, which is if you take chances, sometimes you will hit the ball. And they did not teach me that in Severian High School or Fordham University. Sorry. You guys taught us to sit down and shut up and do math and try to memorize some stupid historical stuff that I could have looked up on the internet. It was a waste of time. It was babysitting. What matters is grit. What matters is, can you stick to it? What matters is, when you're getting your ass kicked day after day as an entrepreneur, can you wake up the next day, crawl out of bed, drink your goddamn coffee, and get on the bus, go to work, and tell everybody on your team, you know what? I know it sucks right now, but we're going to get through it. And if we do get through it, we'll have gotten through it together, and we'll have gotten to the promised land together. And then you're still going to probably fail. That's entrepreneurship. That's what it's about. Grit, resiliency, delusional belief that you will get there. That's entrepreneurship. And that's what they need to teach in schools. And that's why places like Techstars and Y Combinator and these accelerators are so effing awesome, is because they don't try to get you to do math or history. They just tell you to start something and build it every day and try to get out of bed and come to work when nothing is working. And today on the program, we have an entrepreneur who shut down her company. She was on this very program 2 years ago, shut it down. She had mild success with it. I think that's being generous. She'll tell me if I'm wrong. And now she's absolutely kicking ass. It's a big buildup. I'm sorry, I had a little bit of a rant today in me. Danielle Morrill, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Now, you were on the program 2 years ago. I'll play a little clip here, but I'm not going to play the sound right now. But you were on the program with a company called Referrally.
Yep.
And I remember interviewing you because I came in here and I was like, hi, how you doing? You're like, oh, yeah, it's good to meet you. And I was like, I feel like we've met. You were on the program. Mm-hmm. Tell me, this was back in 2012. What was it like to be on the program back then in the early days? And what was the company and why did it fail?
Yeah, so it was right after Y Combinator had wrapped up. So I was in the summer batch. And that interview we did was actually from this house we'd rented in Mountain View. When you go through YC, they want you to live nearby so you can show up when random cool people come by. And it was really exciting to be on the show. We didn't have a ton of traction, but we got something people were interested in. And so we just wanted to spread the word. I think that's what you always want, especially with consumer products.
Yeah.
And so it was like...
So what was the business?
Social referrals. So refer a book to you, you buy it, I get paid. But the idea was to make it so anybody could be an affiliate. There's like some crazy stat, I think 80 billion links to products that are shared on social every year that aren't monetized. So we thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if, people we knew made money? And it was actually the wrong way to think about it, but at the time...
Why was it the wrong way? Now that you look at it, you got some distance.
So it didn't work out, and I think the big thing was money really changes the way people feel about recommendations. So, if I recommend a book to you, I really want to share an experience. I'm saying, like, if you read this, then we'll have something that we can connect on. If you wondered if I'm recommending it because I want $5, then it just changes the whole dynamic. One, you might not buy it.
It pollutes it.
But even if you do buy it, it's just it's some small way it breaks down the social capital that I was really trying to build with that recommendation.
And you don't think it would because it's such a small amount of money. It's so minor. But even companies like really trusted brands, like I remember Boing would link to books.
Yep.
And when they mentioned a book that they had read, they would get affiliate fees. Mm-hmm. And there was this whole brouhaha that in some way, Cory Doctorow or Sheni Jardin or Pesco or whoever, Mark, would compromise the massive integrity they had built over their entire lives to make $1 selling a book. It was like, well, obviously not. But these, whatever, like you're saying, some element just feels like, well, once commerce is inserted into that, it doesn't work.
Yep.
Very much like when you insert, actually I've seen a lot of startups that insert commerce into dating or matchmaking. Mm-hmm. And it's like once you insert like it's $1 or the other person gets paid, it all of a sudden triggers all this like weird stuff. It gets weird.
It gets weird. And it just doesn't feel like it's matching up with the original intention. People like to know when ads are ads. This is basically was like crazy hyper native advertising, right? Every single person became an advertiser. I don't think people are comfortable with that. So that was a huge issue for adoption. So basically all the people who were already affiliates were attracted to using our tools. And ultimately a big part of why we shut it down was felt like we weren't really making the internet better in any way. It was more producing what turned out to be a content farm. That was definitely not the intention, but that's what happened.
It happened to me too with Mahalo, where I thought like I am building something that's helping people find great information and learn how to do stuff. But because we had an open platform where people could build pages, people started to build pages about different things that made money. And we started to get a little addicted to that. Like, oh my God, the coupon pages are making money. Let's make more coupon pages. Let's do that.
We started making our own pages because we were like, well, this is working.
It's working, right. And then you go down the wrong trail.
It's working.
Yeah, and you're using air quotes for those people listening, and it's like sometimes in entrepreneurship things work in some ways, but the cost is so high.
Yeah.
So you felt better shutting it down.
We did. Yeah.
Well, you were one of the first females in Y Combinator, huh, back then? Were there any female founders back then?
There must have been. I don't have instant name recall, but I feel like every batch that, there would be like 5% maybe would be female.
It was more like 1 or 2 back
I think
then.
Now it's getting a lot better.
A lot better.
Yeah.
So anyway, this business doesn't work so well.
So we killed it.
You killed it. And then you started another business called Mattermark.
Yeah, there was some interesting stuff that happened in between about figuring out what to build, though. So it's still the same company.
It is still the same company. It's still YC company.
Still YC company, same backers.
Wow. So how did you explain to your backers? Let's go to that moment.
Yeah. Well,
so who was your biggest backer? And take me to that moment where you talked to her or him about it.
Our biggest backer was New Enterprise Associates. So
NEA, a very famous venture firm.
So funny enough, I didn't know that they were the biggest venture firm by activity when I met them. It was more just I hit off with someone that I met there, thought they were really cool.
They're one of the biggest.
One of the biggest.
Yeah.
But basically had coffee with this person. He's like, oh, we're one of the biggest funds. It was Sheil Tile, who was an associate there.
Okay.
And then literally I was like, whatever, this is totally VC swagger. And then he went to the bathroom and I looked it up on my phone. I was like, oh, I guess I should
take this more seriously.
Take this a little more seriously.
But it is an associate. So.
But no, it was great. We just totally connected over what we were building. And I think more importantly, just, when you like working with people, that was what I was looking for in early investors. So yeah, when we've been kind of meeting with them all along, despite what people say, big funds that make seed investments do put a lot of time in. And so it was kind of funny because we would send these investor updates like, oh, the clicks and the impressions and everything is up and to the right. But what we could see was that like the quality of what the content was just going down, down, down. And that wasn't the metric we were reporting on. So it was easy to feel like, oh, we're like doing all the things we're supposed to do.
And there was nobody to sit there and say, hey, up and to the right is great. However, what are we actually building here?
I feel like people might have said things to me along the way, but the part of the delusional piece of being a founder is like you don't really listen. And so I think I kind of look back and I think I bet some of these guys knew, but it's also very hard because lots of things look stupid, right? And some investments that looked stupid turned out to be amazing. So I think a lot of people were just like, we don't really know what to do with this.
Oh my God. I mean, most of my investments that have worked were very ugly babies.
Yeah. So basically we were ugly baby, but we actually decided that it was like too ugly to survive.
Yeah. So you just pulled the plug.
Yeah. And
what did you do? You just emailed them and just said, hey, by the way, this sucks?
We wrote like a very detailed postmortem with like a lot of data and just like it was pretty thoughtful. And then we also wrote a postmortem post that was public because we'd just gotten a ton of support from the community. So we kind of had been sharing metrics along the way. So it was also very open. And it felt better because the worst thing about living here and like being surrounded by other entrepreneurs is you're walking around and people ask you what you're working on. And I really don't like to bullshit. So I really thought, well, I'll just publish this and then like I can just refer people to this post while I like go curl up in a ball on the couch and figure out what I'm doing. Like,
and you're a first-time entrepreneur.
That's the first time.
And how
founder.
old are you at this point?
When I did YC, I was 27. So 27, 28.
Yeah, 29, whatever. So you're like 28 years old and you're just like, my God, I got this incredible opportunity to go to YC. I built something and went up and to the right. And now I'm shutting it down. Must have been like very difficult emotionally. Or
I mean, I think, you want to achieve. My mindset is like, I do want to impress the people who backed us.
Right.
So that's part of it. And then it also is like, what the fuck am I doing with my life?
Right.
That's another piece.
Right. You had the what they call the quarter life crisis.
I totally did. So the first thing I did was watch every episode of Gossip Girl. This is very important to the formation of Mattermark, actually. I know you probably can't even imagine how, but the premise of the show is there's a guy who's a secret insider in like New York, like in society. He's kind of an outcast, and he has this ability to kind of be on the inside without anybody really realizing he's paying attention to what's going on. And I felt like I could kind of identify with that guy when it came to just the tech community. Like,
so he's an insider on Gossip Girl.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait.
This is a spoiler because he is Gossip Girl and no one knows until the last episode. But
of the first season.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just need to do a spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
Jacob, here's something to do with infographics.
There you go.
We should just do a spoiler alert. Thank you for ruining it for me anyway. So the Gossip Girl is a gossip guy.
Yep.
Which kind of kills it for me because I thought this was like a female-led drama. But anyway, so the point is, you thought this was pretty amazing that there was somebody who had more information than everybody else.
Or just a different perspective.
All right. And so when we get back from this very important partner message, we will find out what you decided to build based on Gossip Girl Season 1 on This Week in Startups. Ah, yes, Citrix Sharefile. In business, we are constantly collaborating with coworkers and clients, sharing files, including contract spreadsheets, presentations, photos, and more. For me, it's like term sheets and stuff like that, really important stuff. And it's essential these are kept safe, secure, and under your control. And that's why I, Jason Calacanis, recommend Citrix Sharefile. It's easy to use, and we use it here to exchange files quickly and securely. Like I said, when we do document lockers and we're sharing terms of service and agreements and term sheets and board documents, we do it all through Citrix Sharefile. And we know on a very granular level who's opening, closing, writing to, moving those documents around, and we need to know that. So go ahead and give it a shot. It syncs everywhere automatically, and your team will always have the most updated materials across all their devices. That's right, smartphones, laptops, tablets, everything. You can edit, access, and share files on the go. So I want you to go to Sharefile for a special offer. Sign up today and you'll get 30 days for free. Go to Sharefile, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and enter TWIST. Go to sharefile.com, click on the microphone on the top of the homepage and enter TWIST. It's an amazing, great product. We use it here. We love it here. Thanks, Citrix Sharefile. And you can thank them at Citrix at Sharefile. Okay, let's get back to this amazing Welcome Back episode. Bye. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to This Week in Startups. I'm using my NPR voice. You're listening to KCRW. I can't do it for that long because I think of that Saturday Night Live skit with sweaty balls, and it's just the most amazing. Put a link here to Shreddy Balls. It's like one of the greatest skits in the history of Saturday Night Live. And we used to do it on the show, me and Lon and Tyler, rest in peace. Both those guys died in a terrible, horrible car accident. I don't have my old team here, but I do miss you, Lon and Tyler, rest in peace, guys. That's a joke. They didn't die. But that for the fans who are listening to the last 100 episodes of This Week in Startups, they don't even know who Tyler and Lon are. But for the people who listen to the first 2 years of the program, they know Tyler and Lon were my co-hosts on the program. Anyway, so today on the program, Danielle Morrill. Morrill?
Mm-hmm.
Morrill. And she is Danielle Morrill on Twitter. And Mattermark is the name of her company. And when we left our hero here at WeWork, by the way, we're at WeWork Studios, WeWork Golden Gate, great place to have your company. And I have my office here, which is really interesting because I thought, oh my God, when I moved up here about a month ago and I started spending 4 days a week here, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a complete disaster because I'm getting stopped in the elevator. Like literally, there were not one pitch in the elevator, but two people simultaneously pitching me their startups in the elevator the other day. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a complete disaster. And I was like, oh my God, wait a second, this is awesome. I'm like meeting all these great people. And that is the great thing about WeWork. I know this sounds like a commercial. It's not. They're not a sponsor of the program. They just gave me a little space here to host the program. But I pay my rent here, actually, just like everybody else without a discount because it's awesome. WeWork.com. Anyway, so Danielle, Referly is you shoot the baby. Horrible, horrible visual, but you kill your startup.
Right.
It's brutal. You feel a sense of failure or anger.
Directionlessness.
Really? You're rudderless.
Yeah, I would say.
But there's money in the bank.
Yes.
And there's 5 employees. Did you lay off a bunch of people?
We fired everyone except for it was actually just my husband, my co-founder Kevin, and I, and then my friend Andy, who we had basically acqui-hired his startup. So it was just the 3 of us.
So the 3 of you, and you had to let everybody else go. And you stopped paying yourselves.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
So
this
we were
is
like,
depressing.
We should stop paying ourselves till we know what we're doing because we've already, these people.
But you have money in the bank.
Yeah, we had like $500K, $400K in the bank. So basically it's another bullet in the gun.
So you got another bullet. Mm-hmm. You're like, hey, that's what a decent angel round would be.
Absolutely.
It's triple what you would get going back into Y Combinator. So you're like, hey, I've got 3 bullets in the chamber here. I could do a little damage here. So let's find a bank to rob. What is the bank you decide to rob?
So as I mentioned before the break, so Gossip Girl is a really interesting show. And the whole reason that it got my attention beyond just wanting to do something to take my mind off my directionless life was I felt like, and I've talked about this before, I felt like there was this opportunity to tell stories about tech companies like mine. And, right now, I think we still mostly turn to like TechCrunch for that. Or,
sorry, I didn't mean to laugh
favorite.
Out loud. I'm sorry. You mean the you're talking about PR Web or TechCrunch? Oh, same thing. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's pretty terrible.
I mean, what did you think as a founder when you saw they printed that Google bought that company based on a fake press release, and then they're like, "We're sorry." I don't
even remember that, but that's pretty bad.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It has not been the same now, since Michael left, and I always have just felt like. I know that we're a small little niche in the big picture of the world, but this is the niche we're in, and it would be great to have some really great tech coverage. So I thought, I love to blog, so I'll just blog, and maybe I'll start a media site. I'm going to blog for 30 days. Every day I'm going to publish something. Because I felt like the question really is, can you live the lifestyle of the writer? Because that's a different life. It's very intense, and I didn't know if I was capable of it. So the way we created Mattermark is we realized the only thing we had that was different was that we were nerds. And so we were like data oriented. So I could like go into Crunchbase and I could dig up some interesting trend and I could write about it. And it would be a story no one else would have. And then I would just attach the data. So the cool thing was by attaching these spreadsheets to these posts, I started getting lots of emails. Hey, can we get that data from you? We want to use it for XYZ project. I was like, what the hell are people doing with this?
You found a hook.
Yeah, we found the hook. And so pretty quickly we had all these different spreadsheets distributed, and our product is in a way just a big spreadsheet in the cloud. Now you can slice and dice it a lot of different ways, but fundamentally it was a response to, wow, a lot of different types of people could do cool things with this data. They don't think it's accessible right now, so let's actually solve that problem. So it's sort of an accident. We thought we were going to build a media company. Even when we had the product, we thought it was going to be a story generator, like BuzzFeed style. We would build tech, and that would justify us as a media company.
Got it.
But that wasn't what happened.
All right, so here's the product. I'll pull it up on my screen. And by the way, just interestingly, when it's so interesting. When I talked to Danielle, I see myself like 15 years ago because I had started Silicon Valley Reporter. The internet goes away, everything fails. And I had heard about this thing called Venture Source that VCs were paying 30, 40 grand a year for. And it was a database of venture capital transactions. So I just put my last 3 or 4 writers on putting all this into a database. I had Brian Alvey, who was working for me at the time, to build a database. And we sold it for $1,000 a seat. And my brother and I literally sold 600 seats and sold it to Dow Jones. We saved the company. And then the folks at Dow Jones and Venture Source were so annoyed by what we had built, they bought it. And we had like an acqui-hire kind of situation. And to this day, my brother, Jamie Calacanis, still works at Dow Jones Venture Source, which is the $20,000, $30,000 version of this. But it's a very old database that's like not even Web 1.0. So how much does this cost, Mattermark?
So it's $500 per month per seat.
So $6 grand.
Yep.
So it's not cheap.
Not cheap.
But it's cheap for a VC.
Cheap for a VC. It's also used by folks who do M&A and also people who do biz dev. So it's all about qualifying leads and finding stuff that, if you were a Zendesk, you want to sell to a startup when there are 4 or 5 people on the hopes that they're going to grow and they're going to buy more seats. So there's a lot of these guys doing biz dev with this too.
Got it. All right. So listen, it's very interesting. Here we go. I'm pulling it up. And what do I see here on the screen? You can describe it. And by the way, you can look at the screen. It's fine. The screen's what's up on there. So you don't have to worry about looking at the camera.
So I've kind of pre-made a search for you here. We have a lot of data that can help you think about not just the funding events, but also, what's going on in terms of traction for these companies. So I've filtered by companies that have at least 20% month-over-month employee count growth, at least 10 employees as a base number, and they're pre-Series A right now. So this is, to me, I would say, if you pinged me and said, hey, Danielle, I'm thinking about doing some Series A deals, what would you suggest I take a look at? This might be one way that we would start to whittle down a list that is reasonable. So this is 359 companies out of a database of 400,000. So obviously, you don't have the time to look at 359, but you could start from the top. And this is ordered by this thing called the Mattermark score, which is pretty controversial. So is it all right if I explain that? Or
it's totally great. Keep going.
So the Mattermark score is based on this idea that, you could click through on each of these companies and you could look at all their graphs and see, who's up and to the right. But the Mattermark score is trying to summarize that. So you want to know, who overall is seeing trends in web traffic, mobile downloads, links, social, everything up and to the right.
So you're pulling Quantcast or Alexa, putting it with the employee data count, putting it with how much they've raised.
It's a pre-built model, basically.
Got it. So I'm looking at this. I know a lot of these. So when something has a negative Mattermark score, what does that mean?
So that means exactly the opposite thing is happening. So they're trending downwards. So a really interesting one to look at is Fab. You really do see the market things that we talk about in the press get reflected in these scores. Their traffic is dropped, their employee count is dropped, so their score is negative. And so,
if I look for fab.com in here, there it is, boom. I can go look and see, oh my God, they have $336 million and their momentum is really low. They're negative 549. They currently have 293 employees.
And if you keep scrolling, there's a bunch of different graphs. So this is their Mattermark score over time. So every time that blue line is below the red one, it's like that week they're dropping. So.
And there's a unique visitors estimated from, I'm assuming, Alexa.
And the inbound links, that's probably a reflection of marketing just dropping their spend significantly.
So you're doing that with Google Webmaster Tools or something like that, SEO stuff. So this is like using a lot of the tools you had in affiliate linking to qualify stuff. And so somebody could do a search here for inbound links increasing. I take it?
Yes.
So how would let me see if I can figure that out here. So if I do, go to my dashboard here and I got to find the search and there's got to be.
You just want to go to all companies, which is that.
Okay, got it. All companies.
Yep.
And so if I go to all companies, let me see, I'll make an interesting search here. Stage exited, no, I'll take that out.
So.
Interested does not equal 0. What does that mean?
That means you haven't marked them as a pass. So you can actually pass on companies.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so here, I'm going to go in. Let me see if I can figure this out. Keyword, stage, investors, location, vertical, advanced. I would have something advanced here. So the estimated monthly uniques, week over week growth. Where's inbound links here?
Let's see if inbound links is in here. I'm not sure if inbound
links. Maybe we don't have it.
Table.
Okay, so here we go. Estimated employees 6 months ago. That's an interesting one. Is employees 6 months ago is less than, I'm going to say they had less than 12 employees because that's less than 10 because that's truly an angel company. And the employees today, employee count is greater than or equal to, fine. I'm going to say really fast growth would be they added 20 people. That would be like 2 a month or something.
Yeah, that would be pretty
And then I'm
hard.
going to apply that. Whoa, here we go. So, and you're scoring by, so Muse has added a lot of employees. We had Muse on the program. So that's interesting. Vox, that makes sense. They're a high growth company.
Yep.
U.S. Postal Service.
Yeah. So right now we've removed that exited filter. So we've got a lot of other private companies in here besides startups.
So we got to get some of those out of here.
Yep.
LinkedIn is one. So you might have had some bad data in here because you had the big companies and you had zero as a starting point.
You just want to filter out exited companies because you don't want to look at exited ones. That's
so how would I add a filter then?
So if you go up to stage.
Right, stage.
You can just pick which ones you want to look at.
Okay, so pre-series A, and B, and what is the filter by?
So it's an either or, so it's just going to give a little additional granularity to your filter, just because the stages names are changing a lot right now.
Got it. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so I'll just okay, so here we go. Class pass, whatever that is. Alternative to gym membership. Uses the best. Wow, that's interesting. Game Face Media, whoever that is. Large provider. Sporting events and photos. Wow, that's interesting. The Skim. I tried to invest in the Skim. I love this business. This is a homebrew investment. So does somebody like Homebrew? There's because I know is Homebrew an investor?
They're not an investor in us, no.
But I know Hunter's really into Mattermark. They have a subscription. I know that, right? You're nodding. So Homebrew's in here. So does that mean the people who are like early stage investors like myself or Homebrew are in the system making sure that our data is good because we know that the bigger funds are looking at it. So we want to make sure hey, the Skim comes up.
Definitely. So what we do is we try to go as far as we can on our own first because I feel like you guys shouldn't have to do a ton of work to fix our product. So we go across the web, we find everything we can. Then we reach out to the fund and say, here's what we've got.
What's wrong?
Right. And usually that's, 5% or less, maybe a couple companies that they never announced that they want to have on here now that they know people are looking at it, or, various funding rounds that maybe just never made it in the media. So we get some of that proprietary data.
All right. When we get back from commercial break, I want to talk about Crunchbase because you have licensed officially Crunchbase, but there was some controversy with Crunchbase and some other people using their data, and Crunchbase made it an open source project, and then they started crying foul and complaining that people were using their data. They bait and switched the entire community, making everybody really pissed off. But you decided to settle with them and pay them. I want to understand why you decided to settle with them when you obviously could make this data yourself when we get back on This Week in Startups. Welcome back, Squarespace. Welcome back to that same old place that you built your website. I'm a terrible singer, but Squarespace is a great CMS. Yes, that's right. It's our Welcome Back series, and it's brought to you by our friends at Squarespace. 24-hour support building exceptional-looking websites. It's easy. And the team in New York is just so responsive. You will get emails returned in well under an hour. They are constantly improving. Commerce works. Everything is working beautifully for us on Squarespace, all of our websites on Squarespace. It is so beautiful, so easy to use, and it starts at only $8 a month. Go ahead and use the promo code TWIST. Go ahead and use the promo code TWIST. Go ahead and use that promo code TWIST, and you will get 24-hour support and an easy-to-use drag-and-drop interface. I was in our office. I'm talking to Brandon. I'm like, we have to change this on the website. We have to change this on the website. And you know what used to happen? My life used to be, okay, we got to call a programmer. Now, I talk to directly the business leader of each unit of my businesses. And when I say, hey, can we change this? Can we change that? They go into Squarespace and they're changing the interface. They're putting up new pages. They're changing the navigation. It's that simple. It's dead simple. Anybody can do it. When your friends, your family, and your business associates want to build a website, I want you to just say Squarespace. You say those magic words to them and they will be out of your hair. That's literally what it's about for tech people, right? Everybody wants us to build a website for them. And now I'm just like, listen, if you need a website, welcome back. Welcome back to squarespace.com. And they've been supporting the show forever. So thanks. Go ahead and thank at Squarespace on your Twitter handle. Use the promo code TWIST, okay? It's everything you need to create an exceptional website. I love Squarespace. I use Squarespace every day. It's the greatest. Let's get back to this amazing Welcome Back episode. Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis, and you're listening to This Week in Startups. Today on the program, Danielle Morrill. She is the CEO and co-founder of Mattermark. Mattermark is the pivot of Referly, which was a Y Combinator company that was in the 2012 vintage, as we say here in the Valley. And when we left our hero, she had built this great system that's now been around for a year?
A little over a year.
A little over a year.
Yep.
It costs $500 a month. Mm-hmm. There's hundreds of people who have bought
Thousands
seats.
of people.
Thousands have bought seats. Mm-hmm. So it's got millions in revenue. Mm-hmm. After your absolute, complete, utter failure that you felt disgraced by in Referly and couldn't get out of bed and hated it, And now you have this tremendous success. That must feel great. Let's pause for a minute and talk about how great it is when everybody's like, oh my God, you're a content farm. It didn't work. And you're just shut it down. And now you're just slam dunking it.
It feels great. I think the biggest thing is it's much more fun to work on things that are working.
Isn't that the truth?
Like, I know that sounds very trivial, but it feels really good to build something people are actually using that you think might be around for a really long time. It makes you feel like your life actually is much more meaningful. So I'm very happy.
It is, especially after coming from something where you're getting your ass kicked every day. To actually have something working, I think, is the best medicine for culture in a company.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely.
People must have been seriously sniping at each other at Referrally towards the end, or just not happy. Was it like a muted culture?
I think it was. Well, I mean, we were still growing metrics-wise till the end, so people didn't really feel it. But I think there was just this general sense, like, we didn't actually know who these customers were. It felt very disconnected. I don't know how it felt for employees, but I think since I was not in a great mood, I can't imagine that they wouldn't have felt that.
Right. The mood of the founder, you can just tell immediately. Like, if the founder is just like towards the end of like Mahalo, I was like, I don't know if I was a terror, and I have to ask employees, but I was just so pissed off. I was like, my God, like up and to the right for so many years and now down and nothing is working. It feels like your Midas touch is just gone. It's a real bummer.
Like, when am I going to get that back?
Well, then what you realize is, I think as a founder, is many things are outside of your control, and you are not actually, as a founder, like some superhero where like your superpowers exist in a vacuum. Like, your superpowers depend on what planet you're on. So like, yeah, Superman's Superman on this planet, but on other planets, he's not flying around and doesn't, have like, he's kind of not the Man of Steel without the sun, right? Or whatever's powering it. And Green Lantern's not Green Lantern without the ring, and Wonder Woman without the lasso.
That's the best description of founder market fit I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's pretty good one. Cool. All right, somebody write that down. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's talk about you more. So there's a big brouhaha. I mean, listen, I'm not beating up on TechCrunch just because it's horrible, but there was this big brouhaha. Explain the brouhaha that happened about a year ago, I think. Yeah,
so when we started out, Crunchbase was a like open GPL or open license database, so you could just use it. And I think that basically what happened is they wanted to change the licensing because they wanted to build a business around it. This happened pretty quickly after we launched. I don't know if it was a reaction to us, but I think there were a lot of people, using their data. Honestly, I have no problem paying for data because it means that the people are, if you're paying them, then you're their customer and they have to actually deliver something where they're working on making it better, which is something that they are doing. So I'm frankly very happy about that. But I think it was a bit surprising to people who had been building things on top of it for a long time. And I think a lot of the things built on it could never really make money. So it was creating ecosystem value, but once it wasn't available to them anymore, I don't think it was kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
So I think it was disappointing to a lot of people.
Yeah, and here you go. The EFF actually had to step in. And when the EFF steps in, you're basically super wrong. I mean, they don't pick up cases unless it's a really important principal thing. And it shows just how exactly wrong AOL was in this case, because it says People Plus can continue to use the Creative Commons licensed material, and Crunchbase improves its legal terms. Mobile app, startup People Plus, and free technology industry database Crunchbase have settled their dispute over data collection under the Creative Commons attribution license, allowing both companies continue their work. But you decided to actually become a client, so you have to pay them every time somebody signs up for your service, or some flat rate or something?
It's a data licensing
Just a data license.
Yeah.
But now here's the thing. You can't trademark or copyright facts.
Right.
So you did this as a bridge maneuver, and you can, because all the data that you're collecting independently, you're not putting into Crunchbase, right?
Right.
So you're not taking, because you're calling people and saying, how many employees does the skim have this month? Or other clever ways we talked about.
We're crawling the entire business web. So we're not crawling the entire internet like Google does, but we crawl a significant subset. And a lot of the things that are in Crunchbase come from news. So it's extracting factual data out of news. And that's the interesting tech we're building. But I think there's value.
So you have a better collection process than Crunchbase itself, which is you're saying anytime Inside.com mentions in a story in the New York Times has this many employees or employees and a number within X number of words of each other, it gets
We
sent,
can detect that, yeah.
and you send it to your data team in Manila or something?
We don't have a data team in Manila. We have 3 analysts here. Almost everything we do is with tech.
Got it.
So that's one of the big things that makes us really different is I think a lot of businesses that have existed in the past that do what we do have been very reliant on outsourced labor and like pretty significant human costs, which is a pretty big burn cash-wise. And we've just decided to take the software people approach to it. And so we do a lot of like deep learning and neural networks and the really interesting machine learning tech that is probably processing about 95% of this stuff. And then we just do exception management. So like we've hired a couple of people. One of them's out of Palantir, a couple different like neuroscience analysts. These are really interesting types of analysts because they're used to dealing with these huge data sets. So we're taking a little bit of a different approach to the data collection.
So you won't need the license with them for much longer.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, one of the interesting things is if there's data out there that you can pay for and the person that you're paying is going to work to make it better, it's often worth it. And we would actually...
So you can look at the price and actually determine...
You can do the math.
You can just do the math. Like, hey, because you can go on LinkedIn and get a bunch of data too, and LinkedIn's more than happy to give it away or not?
They're a little more limited on their... We do use their API, and we have a couple cool features that are around connecting you with people. LinkedIn really wants to drive traffic.
Feature.
So there's a great feature that shows you your warm connections to a company. So say you see Mattermark, you don't know anybody. You can connect your LinkedIn account, and it will tell you who of your contacts is the best path for an introduction. But what's great about that for LinkedIn is it sends traffic to LinkedIn, and that's really what they want. Which makes a lot of sense.
Has LinkedIn offered to buy this company yet?
No.
And what does Dow Jones think of you? Are you even aware?
I don't think that they even do think of us yet. I'm not sure. I mean, I think they might after this.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It's pretty amazing what you've built. I have to say, I'm completely having built literally 4% of what you built, 15 years ago. In 2000 we built it, so 14 years ago. You have built something so sophisticated. It is so much more sophisticated than VentureSource ever was. And Venture Reporter was my product, which was much simpler. And what we found was people wanted to pay for the contact information. So what we did that was sort of clever at the time was we made V cards for each of the accounts. And then we let people per account take down 20 contacts each.
Interesting.
Per day.
Okay.
Because what happened was salespeople would go in and insurance companies or wealth managers, we started buying the product, and then they started trying to download hundreds of them. And we said, you know what? Starting today, you can download up to 20 contacts a day, but that's it. And literally, we would have people buy 3 accounts and hit each 3 account for 20 updates a day just to build their CRM system and their sales system. And I was like, and then people got upset at us like, hey, you're selling our information. And I was like, okay, you can opt out here and your information is on your website. So if it's on the website,
we just collected it somewhere else.
We collected it somewhere else, and if your name strategy is first name at company name or first name dot last name,
you're going to find them.
You're going to find you, but that's like an issue that doesn't exist anymore. You can find anybody, right?
Right. Yeah, I think it's almost, we don't even really think we're going to focus on selling contact info because when people qualify leads through Mattermark, they usually can get to these people through any kind of social channel, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. There's some channel. So it's not really, I don't know if people will pay as much for emails now as they used to.
Got it. So how many people work at the company now and where's it at? Did you raise more money? What's going on?
So we've gone from 3 people to 29 over the past 14. So I guess we would have fit your search criteria.
I like that. Yeah, you're on my radar. This show is just a front for my investing. So, and lest anybody is not clear about...
Is that an offer?
Exactly. Absolutely. Let's go.
Term sheet. Just scribble it out right there.
I can negotiate right now. Here we go. Hold on. Okay, you keep talking.
Okay.
I'm going to negotiate a deal
great.
Live on This Week in Startups.
That sounds great. So we just did a syndicate with Brad Feld
my boy.
FG Angels, which was cool. And I'd never done an AngelList syndicate, so I was very curious.
How much did you raise or about?
We raised, I think, $750K. So we hit the 99 shareholders limit, which is great. And it was way more than we expected, which was awesome because I wanted to see the mechanics of how that worked just because of what we do. And also it let us...
Explain to the audience that doesn't know what AngelList is or a syndicate is, what it is, why you chose it, and what the mechanics are.
So AngelList is a marketplace for founders and investors to meet one another and raise money for companies and sometimes funds as well. And a syndicate is where one lead investor organizes a group of other individuals to invest in a company. And it's great because it lets smaller investors who want to put in maybe $2,000 roll up their investment with a bigger group. And then on the founder side, it's great because you don't have to deal with relationship management with 100 different people. So basically, it's like raising a one-off fund for the company.
And FG Angel Syndicate is run by Brad Feld, who's
at Foundry Group. Yep.
Yeah, Foundry Group, who is a big member of our community here at This Week in Startups, been on the show many times, great guy. And he has 150, I'm pulling it up on the screen here, 156 accredited backers for $500,000, but they did more than that, 750, because they opened it up to everybody on AngelList. And you filled up the 99 slots.
So what happened is they turned on I'd never done one of these before. They turned it on and literally within 5 minutes, there were like $600,000 of commitments. I have never been more floored in my life.
It's a little bit crazy having done 10 of these where like everybody just fills in.
It was amazing.
But in truth, actually what's happening is all of the people, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here, or out of school, all of the people who have pre-committed, they automatically get added. So it's it's almost like people think like, oh my God, I hit the jackpot. Ding, 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 ding. But it automatically ding, 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 dings off whatever 56 members he has.
Absolutely.
But
so the mechanics of the next step are good.
Yeah. Explain that.
So what it does once people opt in is it gives you the ability to communicate with them about the business. And basically it's your job along with the lead to get everything closed. So I think it really just comes down to, some people are probably better at wrangling their syndicate than others. But in this case, we were really happy. We were able to share a lot of data and just have a great conversation with most of the backers. And it went really fast. It was very smooth. I just think it's very, very cool.
And you did this September 10th?
So we were actually on our company retreat, and Brad proposed that we do this syndicate, and I was out of town, but
Brad's on the board or something?
No, I think I'd emailed him and said, hey, we're not really raising our Series A right now. I'll let you know, like I want to work with you someday. And it was kind of one of those.
So you just did a 20% discount to that?
Random things. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say much about the terms, but.
I can just look them up here right now.
I think you can, yeah.
I think it's public. Yeah. No, it's not public, actually.
I don't know. I'm not going to be the one to say it, I think.
But anyway.
It was great for us.
Convertible note.
It was a note. So we were completely debt. So we raised $5 million of debt for this company so far.
And you never converted it.
And we haven't converted it yet.
Because back then we didn't have the safe documents that converted after a certain amount of time.
Right. So we've just extended our notes. All of our original investors are still part of the company. Many of them have
re-upped. When you extended those notes, just so people know, convertible note is a debt document for investing in a company. You don't actually get the shares at that moment. You can look up convertible debt on the interwebs. But it usually comes due in 2 years. You obviously had the pivot, all this kind of stuff. What happens when you have to extend the note? Because that was something that 5-6 years ago when notes started becoming prevalent, people were like, this is going to be a disaster because the notes are going to come due. And in fact, the people who did the note could foreclose on the business.
They could try to, yeah. I mean, so when the business has very little capital left, obviously that's not really worth it for anyone.
Right. But here you had Mattermark, which was promising, and you had a couple of $100,000 in the bank. So somebody who was a big note holder could say, they could extract terms.
I think the important thing is definitely that there was communication all along the way with our investors, and so people kind of knew what was going on. So that's definitely big, especially we have a really large overall syndicate. Our cap table, I think, maybe 100 people on it in that syndicate. So just investor relations has been a little more of an investment for me, but ultimately it's really about saying, look, you could leave us, but I think, we've got this other thing and you've basically already paid for all this learning. So don't you want to see what's going to happen?
So what did you do? You extend it?
Yes.
Or do you have to do
extend them. It's basically just a little
But they don't get any additional terms or any additional consideration?
Interest.
They're getting interest all this time.
So they're getting interest all the time.
Or something.
It's like 4 or 5%, whatever.
So that's not that much, though. If you put 100,000 in, now you got 105, then you got 100.
I think it all speaks to why people angel invest. It's definitely, if you want to make 5%, there's a lot of better ways to do it.
Yeah. No, I had this happen with one of my startups, and I was like, listen, I think we should just price the round now. And I got into it with them a little bit because I was like, this is getting a little ridiculous.
Well, that's why I'm waiting for this little term sheet that you're writing up.
Exactly. I'm writing up a term sheet right now. So here's the thing. All right. So here we go. You've got $5 million.
Right.
You got 29 employees.
Yep.
And you're making a couple $1 million a year. So let me just do a little math here. Can I get a little of that do music? Do.
There, that's good.
29 people at an average of 10K all in, and some office space and marketing. You're in LA?
And I said, this isn't LA.
This isn't LA,
so you got to price adjust.
I'm going to say that you're spending $400K a month. That's about $5 million a year. And you've got millions in revenue, so you probably have $3 million in revenue, which means $2 million is being burned, which is $150K a month burn, which equals $2 million in burn. But if you got rid of half the people, it'd be wildly profitable. So there There's the music. Here we go. 5 million in cost, 3 million in revenue, 2 million burned. But you'll break even in 6 months if it keeps going this way.
You're pretty good.
Here we go. We can offer 5 million in revs times 5 equals $25 million. I will invest $1 million from my syndicate and my fund for a $20 million pre.
I'll think it over.
I think it's a pretty good deal.
I think it's a pretty good deal too.
I think $1 million because I think you're building. I'll be honest. I think if it grows right now, as stated, this business can get no bigger than $200 million in value because that's what venture sources work.
At Status, yep.
At Status. Now, there's other businesses you could build.
This is what I want to tell you about.
Yes. So go ahead. Tell me about what's next. Because I do think you built what will ultimately become a $10 to $20 million revenue business with a 50% margin. But that's only going to be worth $200 million. 20 times 10 million earnings, $200 million. So it's a $200 million business. So I invest in 20, I might get 10x, and I kind of see the eye of the tiger, and I see great execution and great knowledge now. So I kind of think that's a lock. I think I'll get 10x. It'll take 7 years, but it's a good return, I think. So I think it's a lock. That's why I think 20 million is reasonable for both of us. And you want to see me get a great return, right?
Of course.
So that we don't want to negotiate that up because you need to know I have to get my LPs a return. I think I have to sell you on
vision now.
Okay, so now sell me a little bit on vision. This is where by the way, this is where the VCs get screwed. Okay, sell me vision.
Yeah, so I think the interesting
you can put the Jeopardy music behind her?
No, that's a little scary. So the really big opportunity is what I mentioned before about how we're crawling this portion of the internet, these news sites. So if you think about the business part of the internet, it's actually not the main part. Most of the internet is really still for consumers, but this is changing right now with SaaS and with people just coming online across the world, businesses needing to have a presence. Like if you're a restaurant in a small town now, you actually have a website. So everyone from, the mom and pop private company all the way up to the public company has a presence. So there's over 150 million companies in the world. Like why aren't they all in Mattermark? And if you did track all of them, what else could you do with that? There's so many other business
it becomes
questions.
like Dun & Bradstreet. You can do the whole, is this company credit worthy? Are they high growth companies? That's $1 billion business.
You can find customers. So you could say, should I work with these guys? Oh, I don't even need to pitch you anymore. Cool. Okay.
I got it. I got it.
Yeah. So I'd like to do that.
Okay. So is that a counter or something like that? You don't like my $20 million pre? Or you just think okay, we're ready to go?
I know.
Because if we're ready to go, I'll do it right now.
The problem is I need to raise $25 million. So it's.
You don't need to raise $25 million. You need to raise, I think you just need to raise $5 million. We could raise $5 million. I'll be the anchor. I'm in for $1 million. We're going to do it right now. Let's see.
All right. Who are you calling up?
I don't need to call anybody. I don't checkbook these days. Come on, you know that, right? Here we go. I'm going to anchor it in. I'm going to anchor it in for 20%. I'll put in $250 for my fund. $20 million pre. If these numbers are, if my numbers are legit. If the numbers are minus a little bit, we can go down. If it's plus a little bit, we can go up. But I think 20 million pre would be reasonable for a company with 5 million in revs that's losing money, but that could easily get to profitability. So let's assume it's the 5 million range. If it's 4 million, then I would go down 20%. If it's 6 million, I go up 20%. Okay, something like that. And the launch fund will put in $250K. I will, and this is something I never put out there, but I will offer to be on the board if you want me to. That's at I'll even put in 2-year board service for free, no equity, no extra kicker or anything there. If you want it, it's just your option, at your option. And $750 for my syndicate. There you go, boom, $1 million. And then what you do is you use that to go out and sell the rest of these donkey VCs. They're like, oh, Jason's involved. It's going to be successful. I saw the episode. Wow, he's enamored with it. It's clear that this could be $1 billion business if you do it. So I love that. I invest at the $200 million price. You pursue the $1 billion thing. But that would be good if we did a 20 million. And because what I always look at as an angel now is there a reasonable chance, or is there a chance at 100x outcome? If I can't come up with a chance at 100x outcome, I don't invest now, because that's how I got Thumbtack and Uber, and those are now thousands X and 100x, because I was the first investor.
You got to do the craziest thing you can possibly imagine doing. Investing in Uber and Thumbtack. Those are kind of crazy bets in the beginning.
You wouldn't believe how many people wouldn't invest.
Yeah.
I have the emails with people I sent Uber and Thumbtack to. The top VCs in the world. And one of the top VCs said, I don't want to be in that dirty business with those people.
Wow.
Referring to, I mean, when I write my book, my autobiography, it's definitely I'll definitely call that person out and make fun of them. But anyway, they meant dirty like the regulations and the management of this stuff. They didn't mean it in a racist way, but although it does sound racist in a way when you say those people. But I think it meant the regulation and the nonsense. But anyway, here's the point. At $1 billion valuation, if it's 20 million now, it's $1 billion, that's 50x. And there's an outside chance it could be a $2 billion company. Like there's data companies that are worth that, right? Mm-hmm. What are the biggest data companies worth right now?
Bloomberg, probably the biggest one.
6 billion? 5 billion?
I mean, we don't know. They're not public.
I know, but probably be worth
somewhere
5.
Up there.
People say 5 billion or
somewhere
something.
Up there.
But it's on the downtrend.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, because people don't want to pay for.
Bloomberg is back there now in leadership.
Yeah, he's going to have to really. I mean, they'll make. Here's the thing: if you get this going in that direction, he'll come in and make a preemptive offer for $300 or $400 million, which would be good enough for you to sell. Mm-hmm. Like if right now, if you got $100 million,
that's not 100x.
Well, no, but here's the thing. But yeah, you know what? I was an investor in Swell, and they sold early, and I'm very happy for the founder. So like, here's the thing for you. I think if somebody came right now and offered you $100 million, you wouldn't take it. But if somebody did come and offer you $200 or $300 million, you would take it.
And the problem is that
you would be crazy not to take it.
I know
$300 million.
But I think the problem is like
you have to take it. Wait, hold on a second. Let's talk about this.
Yeah. Okay.
At $100 million, it's an easy no.
I've done the math on all of these. Like it would change my life. I know that.
$300 million. You're telling me you would not sell a 29-person company for $10 million per employee? Do you realize how crazy you sound right now, Danielle?
I know. I have a lot of.
Would you sell for $300 million?
No.
$500 million?
No.
You literally would not sell for $500 million. Now I'm worried about you. Are you feeling okay?
I'm good. I think the thing is.
Wait, explain how you could.
I would just go start the same company again.
No, you wouldn't.
This is what I want to work on.
I know that. And that's a great stump speech. But there is a point at which somebody offers massively disproportionate value and you have no choice but to take it. Do you agree with that premise?
No.
Really?
I just don't.
That's interesting. See, now you play poker?
Yep.
You do?
Yep.
Oh, really?
We should play poker together.
We will play poker together because I'm like, now that I live up here, I have a shuffle master.
Fun. Oh, you do?
I'm not supposed to say that. I know.
Onward.
I know somebody who has a shuffle master. No, it's illegal to have. Not illegal to have a shuffle master. It's against the terms of service, I think, of the shuffle master company. So I do not have a shuffle master, but I know somebody who does. Anyway, I got like a really cool table company. Anyway, you play poker.
I do.
I can tell you play poker because I'm like studying your eyes while you're talking. And when I answer that 500 million question, like literally I'm looking for the tell if you're telling the truth or not. And I am not getting any read off you. You have no tells. I mean, the laughing's good.
I'm sure I have tells. Well,
you don't. I give very subtle tells.
Are my hands on the table? Are they behind my back?
Leaning back? No. Those are the 1.0 tells. I got them. I got the higher level tells. But here's the thing: with the 500 million, you may have actually. See, this is why you're probably a good poker player because you've convinced yourself that you wouldn't take 500 million. You actually believe you wouldn't take 500 million. I do. Now, here's the thing: if the 500 million was in front of you, and you own. And your husband owned probably 20% of the business each or 15, 20% at this point. I'm not sure exactly where it's at. You have 3 founders. Mm-hmm. So you each have 15% or something if you did it right, maybe 10 even. But even still, that means you and your husband are taking down at least 25% of that. That's $125 million. You pay some taxes, you're at $60, $70 million. But what am I going to do with that money? What are you going to do with $60 or $70 million? Did you just say that on This Week in Startups? I would just go start another startup. You could be an angel investor, do another startup, take a year off. If I want to be an angel investor, I'd be an angel. I am an angel investor. No, but you could buy an incredible house and be set for life. I probably will do that at some point anyway. It's just like the time. You don't get the time back. If you find something you want to work on, you just never get that time back. Wow, you've really practiced this discussion. You're going to be awesome when they do make an offer. When you're in the room with Bloomberg, he is going to be so I will tweet you. He is going to be so effed. I know Mike. I'll talk to Mike. But he will be so effed that he will be so absolutely screwed when you're negotiating with him. I mean, he's a great negotiator. And that's the best part, because that really means that it's worth going further. Yeah. Oh, hey, Jackie, Emmy Award-winning producer Jackie, can we make a note to invite Michael Bloomberg to Keynote Launch Festival 2015 now that he's not the mayor? We got to make that happen. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Now that he's back as an entrepreneur. All right, so let's talk about the deal. What do you think? Oh, I thought we were just done with this. We're done with the valuation games. Obviously, you are going long. That's good to hear. I thought the guys at Swell were going long too, but I mean, when Apple comes and offers you a huge pile of cash, and it's Apple, I mean, it's kind of hard. I mean, when Mike Bloomberg starts wooing you and it's like, hey, you could be the president of this division. That would be pretty flattering. It'd be epic.
It would be epic.
You ever hear the story of Steve Jobs wooing Drew Houston from
No.
Dropbox?
No, I haven't.
Nobody's heard it yet, but you'll hear it at the Launch Festival in 2015 if he does a keynote. But like this famously, Steve Jobs wooed Dropbox.
Wow.
I mean, that's public knowledge, but the story of it is pretty amazing. I don't know if he'll ever tell it publicly, but it's pretty amazing. So what about our deal? Let's talk about our deal. Everybody right now is on pins and needles if I'm going to close this deal here. Am I in the let me just ask 3 questions here. Number 1, am I in the range of where you think the valuation will be? At this time, where the valuation should be at this time?
I mean, the market will decide the valuation.
Okay.
I think we're in the...
This is the market right now.
Yeah. I think we're
Founder, investor.
What are we in the range of? Well, first of all, this is a first
I said 20 million pre.
Yeah. So first date.
But you also closed a round a week ago.
Right.
So you closed a round a week ago. So am I above that round amount? And I'm going to find out right after the show because I'm going to log into AngelList. I won't do it on the show.
Yep.
So I'm above that round amount.
I think you're in a good place for us to keep the conversation going.
Okay. So I'm definitely above what Brad Feld paid. Because the other way I could do it is, how about this? This will be a really great test. This will be how much you value me as an investor.
Well, I don't know yet.
Well, obviously you know me. You watched the show. You were on the show 2 years ago. You're sitting here in the data. You obviously know who I am and the value I have. So you closed a round literally on September 10th, and today is the taping of the show. It's now September 16th. So we're 6 days from you closing. If I increase the value of your valuation by $1 million 6 days after you close that event.
That's a pretty good deal, isn't it?
That is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. That means you've increased your value. You can go back to your team and say, I've increased the value of the company by $175,000 per day, about $10,000 an hour.
It's a pretty good hourly rate.
It's a pretty great hourly rate.
Else.
If you can be. So I'm going to make the firm commitment right now. I will invest in the company at $1 million higher valuation than what Brad just closed at. And by the way, you can do that with a syndicate because it's a new valuation. So you can do another syndicate and it'll just be on the same convertible. Whatever. I'm sure the terms are reasonable. I'm sure we have pro rata. That's standard. So if we have pro rata, I'll do, whatever, 500, $1 million, whatever you think, 250.
500, $1 million, 250.
Whatever. I mean, you have to tell me what you want to do.
All right.
It's a back and forth.
After we wrap up, we can talk about it. I think I do want to get to know you better. That's one thing.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely do that. And we did that here on the show. But let me ask you, is that a compelling pitch though as an angel? Because I've thought about doing that before.
Bringing after a round closes.
A round closes, and it's like I missed it. Mm-hmm. So basically, as punishment for being an idiot, right?
You'd pay a little higher,
and in recognition of the fact that I'm late to the party. It's sort of like you show up late for dinner and you buy dinner because your friends are all like, "Oh, you showed up late," and you all had appetizers already. We waited for you. So then, you're like, I'm a schmuck. I'll pay for dinner.
I think it's a good strategy. I mean, I think the founder's still thinking about fundraising at that point. So that's one piece. So the biggest thing for me is if you're not in fundraising mode and someone offers you money, it's the most distracting, terrible thing that can happen. Because you start thinking about, what would I do? Should I just go raise a whole round? All these things. So it's a really good strategy to hop on before that's too far in the back.
So is this round closed is what you're saying? Or
yes.
It's closed. But if I offered
6
another one,
days
it's
ago,
like,
so.
Yeah. So you'd be able to easily go to the board and be like,
I think another major one, and I think we're going to deal with this. I mentioned we have $5 million in notes. Is there's some point where you say, probably shouldn't have any more notes. Probably.
Yeah, that's a new thing, isn't it?
It's a new problem that just didn't exist. So that's another major consideration for me as a CEO is, at some point, all that has to get converted, and it's all going to convert into, basically, you could say we've already raised our Series A. Right?
For sure. $5 million is
just like... because it's on notes doesn't mean it's not a Series A. So I think the interesting thing is you have to think, first of all, we're going to convert this. Secondly, we're going to convert it on Series B metrics. So there's a lot of thinking that has to go into that, I think.
Oh, I see. So you're going to ask for a Series B valuation.
Well, you don't have to, but you have to consider what it does to the overhang and all that good stuff.
Yeah, because right now you're going to convert at a 20% discount, but they've all been getting interest, but you don't want to screw them.
No. That's a really big deal.
It is a big deal. Explain what that would mean, screwing them over right now.
Oh, I can't even imagine. I mean, these are the people that basically continue to back us when we didn't know what we were doing. So,
so if you keep them on the notes for another year or two, and then
that's also not ideal, right? People don't like being on notes. They want to know what they own.
Right.
So there's like.
But let's say you get to a $30 million valuation, and they get a 20% discount, and they're paying at like $24 million, and they supported you from day one. It's not fair, is it?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how that will play out. But one thing a lot of founders are doing is they're just converting the notes at a price that they set.
Yeah, that's called the safe document.
That's pretty but even without the safe, like we have convertible notes. You can convert them at other terms. Like I could
You just have to email everybody.
Yes, that's a pain in the butt. But other than that,
you have to basically get everybody to agree.
But this is something that's happening for more and more startups. Like in Mattermark, you can go search all the guys that are, they say pre-Series A, and they've raised like $5 million. They're all looking at this same problem and thinking, okay, well, what is
So what do they do? Has anybody done it yet?
I think it's happening. I mean, I think that they raise really big rounds that they call a Series A. It's $10 million. It's really a Series B. And that's why we're seeing these huge A's. They're really B's.
But then, because the $5 million that's already been invested is bundled into the new 5.
So it's really the A and the B are raised together.
Right. But if a company has survived this long, it's probably a going concern.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
With a couple million in revenue. But
I mean, these are not bad businesses. It's confusing because it doesn't suit any industry norms that we have.
It also screws the early investors who really should have gotten in at a $5 or $10 million, anywhere from a $2 to $8 million valuation, and now they're being forced and converted at $20 million.
Right.
That's
so
that's really unfair.
Hopefully you've set caps or other things along the way that make sense for where your business
Could you go to I'm just thinking about this out loud here. I wonder if you could go to the people who invested in year 1 and say, hey, we want to convert all of the year 1 people.
You can do whatever you want. You can convert them at any price you want.
Right. So you can say, hey, year 1 people, we're going to convert you at $7 million. Year 2 people, we're going to convert you at 10. And year 3 people, we're going to convert you at 13. And we think that's fair.
You
and
could
then
do that, yeah.
See, I think that would be most fair because if I came in to this round, let's say, and whatever, and I got the same terms as the people who suffered through Referrally and the whole boondoggle, and they only got a 20%, but this was a $20 million round, or $25 million. They got a 20% discount, so they paid 20 and I paid 25, whatever. That would feel not good.
Yeah, it's really important because if you think about, especially our business, all these people in our network, they're all there to help you. They're all helping you. So obviously, not screwing them is a really big consideration.
Yeah,
and people remember.
I will never sign deals that are just there's no cap.
Right.
I'm just like, capping a discount, and then because these you were in Y Combinator. Was your Y Combinator the summer of like $15 million caps?
Yeah,
where it just went off the charts.
It was right after the Facebook IPO, so that was like
too much
a lot
money
of
in
psychology. It's probably what's going to happen. After the Alibaba IPO, we might see that again for a little while.
Yeah, and then the crash comes.
Yeah,
That's what I think.
Mid 2015, whenever they raise interest rates.
Well, when they raise interest rates, and then the Alibaba thing, and there's got to be
elections. There's a million
who knows? There's like a zillion possibilities. It's totally out of control. But that's why you need
is just blinders on.
Well, no, that's why you put blinders on for your business. But in fundraising, you should be building a war chest now because you could get caught with 50 staffers.
That is why I will definitely consider your offer.
I think now, just message to founders, now is the time to build a war chest of capital because all these rich people could lose half their net worth if another event happens. And when that happened the last time, a lot of companies went out of business and they get caught in it. Right. And you're going to have the front row seat to that. Actually, you probably know who's going to die if that happens.
You can kind of tell.
You can kind of tell because it's been a long time since they raised funding.
I think the one exception is SaaS companies. Like they can find a way to survive because they can just grind it out because they've got recurring revenue, but people aren't really paying attention to that.
That's true.
The time between their rounds tends to be longer, which is a really interesting trend.
Why is that?
Because they have revenue. I mean,
they have revenue. They don't need to take the terms.
Yeah, and they build their business incrementally on their not that they're not burning. They are burning cash, but they look at their revenue as the driver for how much they hire. So it's a really interesting psychology.
Yeah, they don't go crazy like people in the consumer market do.
I really love building a SaaS company because it sort of keeps you humble a little to like, oh, it's very real. The numbers are very real.
It is. I have like a SaaS company in the launch, and it's like, yeah, we have people who sponsor the events, we have people who subscribe, and so it's like that's nice. And then inside is just like, well, we're just trying to grow. We're not trying to get revenue. We're just trying to get to critical mass. It's like really two very different mindsets. Like, how do we build features that grow this, and then how do we make the revenue go up and convert better? It's fascinating. Well, listen, Danielle, great interview. Congratulations on finding a genius business. Fabulous job closing a round with me on great terms. I think that was particularly the highlight of the episode for me, the 1 million plus. This is a great strategy. All right, here. This is it.
How do you know this wasn't my strategy all along? This is
it could be. It could
how
be.
Am I going to pitch Jason? He's really busy. I'm just going to come on his show.
It is a mutual thing. I have to tell people, like, if you're on the show, it is basically an indication of interest from my part. Like, I mean, if people don't get that by now, it's obviously my way of like, hey, let's see if this person can carry on an interesting conversation about their own business. Because I'll tell you something, many times I'll meet with somebody and I ask them questions about their own business and they can't answer it. I was asking somebody like who their competitors were and they couldn't name the competitors. And so like I type company name competitors. I'm like, what about this company and this company? They're like, yeah, I don't know that company. I'm like, I just typed your company competitors and you don't know the competitors listed in Crunchbase? They're like, yeah, I'm not aware of that one. I'm like, what? Like if I ask you your top 5 competitors, who are they?
Let's see. Capital IQ, Dow Jones Venture Source, VC Experts, DataFox is a new one.
Right. And who is...
Those are probably the main ones.
And who's executing the best?
Actually, I didn't list who's executing the best. Actually, CB Insights, best content, I think, and I think content is really.
Oh
valuable.
yeah, CB. Yeah, they're doing a lot of like content. I know because I come up in it. So like they're doing content marketing.
They do a really good job, and I think that part of that is just like the substantive thinking that goes into that means they're really using their own data. So it's really
they did something. They did. I don't know who CB Insights is.
They're in New York, probably I think the same size as us, maybe a little bit older company. I definitely can kind of picture their Mattermark page in my head.
Well, I'll tell you why I think this is an interesting company is, I'll pull up my screen here. So I was like, these guys are trolling me so hard because look at this. Moneyball for AngelList syndicates. Investor Mosaic used an algorithmic assessment of AngelList syndicates. Jason Calacanis, Scott Bennesser, Tom Ferris, and Gil Pacina, and Elad Gil, all friends of mine, come out on top. And this is like, look at this. Based on Investor Mosaic, Jason Calacanis comes ranked highest.
Well, you must love that, right? Yeah, they got you.
Of course. Anything that has my name in it, I love. Especially, like, I'll read a tweet that's like, Jason Calacanis is in blank, and I'm just like, oh my God, my name is in a tweet. Oh, woohoo.
It's very powerful.
Who cares?
Yeah.
It's like, nobody even...
So this is probably our most, most respected
But anyway,
competitor.
so this is an interesting thing. And this is a lesson for entrepreneurs when they're talking to an angel investor. And we're just founder to founder talking here, essentially. But when you're talking to an angel investor or an investor, and you don't know your competitors, and you can't say like, yeah, this is a competitor who does a better job than us at content marketing using their own data, and we really need to step it up. Like, it just makes you seem clueless if you don't recognize that. If it's a good market, there's competitors. It would be like somebody from Lyft being like, yeah, Uber? What's that? What's Uber? You know, like...
No one believes you if you say things like that, right?
Oh, it's like there's amazing. There's a huge schmuck sign that goes above somebody's head.
We call it the bozo bit. You flip the bozo bit. And you don't trust that person.
No. And with you, it's just like credible. There's a flashing sign above you that says "Invest in me." Like, literally,
my whole business is about data, right? So I figure everyone's going to find out everything anyway at some point.
You might as well just
talk about it.
Well, that's exactly it. All right, listen, this has been an amazing episode. Congratulations on your second appearance on the show.
Thank you.
And some good news for you. You are now invited, since you did a good job and you're really smart and you have this data, you're invited to come on the News Roundtable if you're available.
Thanks.
So I'm trying to get some new blood on the News Roundtable. So I've been checking people out. This kid, Eric Newcomer, did you see him on the show last week?
No.
He's at The Information.
Okay. Oh, I read his stuff.
Yeah, he's a Harvard kid.
All right.
All right. You go to Harvard?
No. I didn't go to college.
You didn't go to college, right?
Okay, a good mix of people on the show.
All right. So Jackie, here's my new lineup. Amir out. Amir's out for canceling on me.
Sorry, Amir.
Sorry, Amir. Who else canceled recently? Don't be bashful. I want to hear who's canceled. Kara Swisher canceled. All right, that's it. Kara spot out. Danielle in. Okay? So Eric now going forward gets... Eric Newcomer's now got Amir spot. And Danielle, you got Kara Swisher spot. So no, Kara Swisher can still be on the program. She's awesome. But no, I'm trying to get new people on the program, and I want only people under 30.
Oh, shoot. Well, I can only be on the show for like another 6 months.
Whatever.
Just feature me as much as you
I'm
can.
Saying, I want some new blood. You know what I'm saying, Jackie? I need new blood. I need somebody to bring some new stuff to the table, some new opinions. I like the Harvard kid, and I like Danielle with the data.
non-Harvard kid.
Data Danielle. Danielle Data. Lieutenant Commanded Data. You're like the data of like startups. You have all this data.
Yeah, that's pretty
You got to come on the if you come on the News Roundtable, you'll have all this data, and we have new blood. I'm tired, I'm calling all the same people. And then these journalist friends of mine are canceling on me same day. I got sick. I got a program to do here. You can't call in sick.
We just need to get you a whole new list.
I'm starting over. I'm literally going to start the News Roundtable over. Who's somebody who you respect, who's a marketing like genius, growth genius? Give me a growth person who nobody knows.
Oh.
Growth. I need growth people in this program.
I would say
like Neil Patel or
I was going to say, what
those
about
guys
like DJ Patil, he was most recently at Relate IQ, but he was at Greylock before. He's a data nerd.
DJ Patel?
Yeah, so he's more of a product guy, but growth product.
Relate IQ
data.
guy?
Yep. He's great.
He looks like he might be 40, though. I'm trying to get younger people. But what's this? DJ Patel. Here we go. VP of Product, Relate IQ. I like
Smart
that.
guy.
Product guy.
And he's very data-driven.
Here he is.
I'll have to get you a whole list.
D Patel. No, I just want the one. See, this is the thing. I just get the one person
it's
who you.
First person I thought
So we'll
of.
make a note. Here we go. DJ Patel. Let's rotate him in.
I mean, they just sold their company, so he may be on a beach somewhere. But
No. See, that's what you have to think about. See?
Mm-hmm. That was a little
What
bit
do you
early.
play? You play Hold'em? You're a PLO
I play
player?
Hold'em.
Have you
I was
played
an investor
Chinese
in Relate
poker?
IQ. I should. That's my disclosure.
Are you? Could you play Chinese poker?
I haven't done
Pineapple?
that. No.
Download the app Pineapple in the store.
I will after we.
Or actually, you know what? I'll just get it to you because,
Cool.
yeah.
I try not to play on my phone because it's very addictive.
No, this game Pineapple, Bill Lee, who sold his last company to eBay as an angel investor, Bill Lee created a game called Pineapple, and him and Chamath own the patent on it, and it's Chinese poker where you set 3 hands. Is the most addicting thing in the world.
Oh,
It's
no. I don't
amazing.
know if I should adopt
Listen,
this
we're
thing.
70 minutes into the program. Enough. We'll go
Sorry.
forever. Okay. No, it's not you. It's me. They're just like in the control room. They're like, Jason is so like doing long shows now, making them crazy. They want the shows to end in an hour. All right. Thank you so much to WeWork for building me a beautiful studio here. I do appreciate that. WeWork.com. Everybody follow at Jason. Everybody follow at TWI Startups. Everybody thank our sponsors. And hey, here's a programming note. Jason DeMont has been the CEO of Launch, which includes This Week in Startups and the Launch Ticker and the Scale Conference and Launch Festival and all these great things we do. And he's put 2.5 hard years working for me as CEO of the company while I was busy with Inside and Mahalo and living in Los Angeles. And he is now going to go out and be a founder of his own company. And I just want to take a moment during the program to personally thank him for 2.5 great years of working together, all the hard work he put in, all the credit I took for his hard work. People walk up to me on the street, how do you do it? Jason, my God, the event was so great. The show is so great. I'll tell you how to do it. People like Jason DeMont, who really do a ton of work. They're behind the scenes. They're humble, but they care about startups and they care about the mission of Launch, which is to inspire entrepreneurs and inspire innovation, to support founders and inspire innovation is the mission really of the company. And Jason DeMont has been just a tireless advocate for startups and really worked very hard for me. And I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart when people pour their soul into the company and they work so hard. And it really, sometimes it makes me feel bad because I get a disproportionate amount of credit for the work that, my team does. I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'll take all the credit in the world for everything. But the truth is, nobody gets there alone, and I'm the face of the company, but 99% of the work is done by people like Jason DeMont, who really did an amazing job, and I'm very proud to say I'll be the first investor in his company, which is sort of the deal I do with people who work for me. If they come up with a great idea, I'll just be the first investor in the company. It has to be a good idea, by the way. So don't come work for me for 2.5 years and come up with a cockamamie idea. I'm not going to invest in your movie or some stupid sports bar or something. But if you come up with a great idea, I will invest on you on the way out. Isn't that a good way to recruit? Come work for me. This is such a genius idea. It's so sinister. Come work for me. Help me grow my companies. And then I'll invest in your company on the way out the door.
Seems like a pretty good strategy.
Well, if you spend all this time investing in people and you think that you do a good job of it, you should be confident to do that. But anyway, Jason DeMont, thank you. And good luck as an entrepreneur. You're going to crush it. I have 100% faith in you. All right, that's it. We'll see you next time on This Week in Startups. Bye-bye.